The stars over KL3 were beautiful, peaceful. The twin moons hung low in the orange sky as children laughed in the colony gardens. Farmers worked the soil. Drones buzzed quietly in the background, delivering supplies and picking fruit. It had been 20 years since Earth built this colony. It was the farthest one yet. Clean, green, safe. But safety was an illusion. That night, stars changed. They didn't twinkle. They moved, unidentified objects in orbit, said the AI voice on every speaker. Warning, incoming vessels. Die. The time people looked up, the attack had already begun. Dark, sharp ships appeared above the clouds, hundreds of them. They didn't fire lasers, they dropped spheres. The spheres cracked open mid-air, releasing blue mist and mechanical beasts that tore through streets, homes, and humans alike. They came to destroy. Not to talk. Not to trade, just to conquer. The Zarn had arrived. They were cold, insect-like beings, thin bodies, black skin, and for shining eyes. Their technology hummed with eerie silence. They didn't shout. They didn't laugh. They simply marched through KL3 like they owned it in 10 minutes. Every defense turret was offline in 20. The colony's capital was on fire. By the end of the hour, KL3 was silent but deep underground. Something else was waking up. 2 days later, in a hidden part of the colony, buried under 20 meters of stone and steel, the lights flickered on. The door to Vault 7 hissed open. Inside was a tube filled with thick fluid. A human floated inside, connected to wires, sensors, and nutrient tubes, muscles like steel. Eyes shut, his name was Rafe, codename Earthborn No 1. The backup power had kicked in automatically. His body scanned the network. Something was wrong. No voices, no commands, no Earth signals. He opened his eyes, and the war began again. Rafe fell to the floor, coughing out fluid, naked and confused for only seconds. Training took over. He reached for a locker on the wall marked in case of invasion. Inside, a gray bodysuit, 2 pulse knives, and a wrist computer. He scanned the area. No human life signs above. Only Zarn signatures. Hundreds of them. They had no idea what was coming. Outside, a small alien scout group walked near an old science building. One Zern sniffed the air. Something felt wrong. It was the last thing it ever felt. Rafe dropped from a rooftop silently, landing behind them. Before they could turn, he struck. A blade slid across one neck. Another alien's chest exploded with a punch. The third turned to fire and got slammed into a wall with such force its armor cracked like an egg. 3 bodies, no alarms. Rafe vanished. Again, far above the surface. The alien Commander General Shurtho watched through a glowing screen. "This human colony is broken," he said in a voice that clicked and hummed. "Prepare the next world." A soldier approached. "We lost. A patrol team. No signal." Shurtho waved it off. "Animals still crawl after death. Let them." But that night, 5 more patrols vanished. One camera survived. It showed a tall human alone, walking through smoke, wearing alien armor, dragging a plasma rifle, and smiling. The Zarn didn't believe in fear. Their race had ruled 10 galaxies. They crushed empires, burned moons, ended species. But something was wrong now. One human was killing elite units, disabling comms, sabotaging power stations. He moved like a ghost, fought like a beast, showed no mercy. They thought the colony was empty. But Earth had left behind a secret, a man not born for peace. A man built for war. Day for Rafe entered the ruins of the city center. Ash floated like snow. Burned buildings moaned in the wind. He walked slowly, scanning for life. He saw none, only death, bodies of friends, civilians, children they hadn't even been armed. He fell to one knee, clenching his fists. His voice cracked. "They'll pay." He uploaded a message to Earth. "KL3 is gone. They're coming for us. I'm still alive." But there was no reply. Suddenly, a sound. A soft hum. A drone. It hovered near him, scanning. Rafe pretended not to notice. He waited. Until it moved closer, then he jumped in 2 seconds. It was torn apart, but the damage was done. The Tsar knew where he was, and they were coming. That night, Tsar shock troops landed around the ruins, setting up traps, turrets, motion sensors. They circled the area. Weapons charged. Ready inside a broken building. Rafe watched them from a hole in the floor. He counted every movement, every heartbeat, every mistake. Then the sky lit up. Explosions tore through the Zarn camp. Their own minds rewired. Their own. Guns turned inward. In the chaos, Rafe struck. He moved like lightning. No fear, no pause. Just fury. Zarn screamed and fired blindly. By the time the smoke cleared, 20 alien soldiers lay dead. And again, no sign of him. Elsewhere on the alien flagship, General Scherthal stared at the footage. "What is this thing?" Science officer replied. "We believe he's human, but enhanced. It's modified for speed, pain resistance, combat intelligence." Is Scherthal turned his eyes toward the stars. "Then find him," he said, before the others awaken, because Rafe wasn't the only Earthborn. He was just the first. The others were still sleeping. For now. In the silence of deep space, a massive Zarn war fleet drifted like a swarm of knives. Ships the size of cities moved in perfect formation, their weapons fully charged. 100 alien worlds had fallen before this armada. Now, they set course for Earth, but one message had changed everything. One message sent from the ruins of Cal 3. Earth remembers. Inside the fleet's flagship, High Commander Scherthal paced. He studied the footage of destroyed patrols, shredded troops, and one lone human walking calmly through fire. "This, Earthborn," he said. "He's not just a soldier. Something else." The science officer nodded. "He doesn't fight for territory. He fights to destroy. He fights to hurt." They had seen soldiers before. They had never seen rage. Back on KL3, Rafe stood over a broken Zarn relay tower, welding pieces together with stolen tech. His muscles ached. His body was bruised. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. He had sent dozens of warning messages too. Earth, still no answer. He didn't know if Earth had fallen already, or if no one was left to hear him. He looked to the horizon. Smoke still rose from what used to be homes, schools, parks. His people weren't soldiers. They were settlers, peaceful, gentle, and now gone. Rafe clenched his fists. His breath came slower, deeper. Not from fear, but from something burning deeper inside rage. Suddenly, his wrist scanner blinked. A new signal, weak, buried underground. He ran deep beneath the rubble. Vault 12 opened slowly. Inside lay a young woman, floating in a cryotube. Earthborn 07. Name Lyra. Her eyes snapped open. Rafe stood beside the chamber as the fluid drained. Lyra stepped out, shivering but alert. Her eyes darted around, already calculating, already adapting. Rafe handed her a towel. "I'm Rafe." She tilted her head. "Target." He nodded. "Zern." She smiled. Meanwhile, on the Zern fleet, a meeting of generals took place. One commander pointed to a display. Burned outposts, crashed ships, empty patrol logs. "Something is wrong," he hissed. "They're killing us, and we don't even know how." High Commander Scherthal clenched his claws. "These humans, they don't retreat when outnumbered. They get angry." He turned to the room. "Find them. Kill them. Before this rage spreads." Back on Kale 3, Rafe and Lyra moved like shadows. 2 Earthborn, twice as fast. Twice as deadly, they hit a new Zarn outpost at nightfall. Lyra sprinted through the dark, slicing a soldier's throat without a sound. Rafe took down 2 more from above. They didn't use guns. They didn't need to. Their movements were pure, practiced, efficient, brutal. By the time the Zarn fired back, it was already too late. One alien survivor crawled from the wreckage. His chest was bleeding. His legs were broken. But something else was broken to dot his mind. He whispered to the sky, "They don't fight like animals. They fight like monsters." Later, Lyra sat beside Rafe near a small fire. They ate protein bars from a survival kit, barely speaking. Finally, she asked, "What were we made for?" Rafe looked into the fire, to be the thing that comes after. The screaming stops. The stars overhead sparkled. By Reconnaisseur Scheidal. Earth's defense satellites finally picked up Rafe's signal. A voice echoed through command. Signal. From Kel 3, confirmed Earthborne activity. One survivor? No, make that two. The commander stood slowly. Send the message to Central Command, she said. Tell them the Earthborne are active. The war had just begun. And now, Earth's deadliest soldiers weren't hiding anymore. We're hunting in the cold black of space. A Zarn destroyer floated lifeless. No power. No crew. Just silence. A salvage team approached, confused by the lack of signal. They boarded, weapons ready inside. The lights flickered dim red. The walls were splattered with blood. Not a single Zarn soldier remained. Then they found the ships. Log. Only one file was left behind. It was a message burned into the screen. Earth remembers. Back on Kale 3, Rafe and Lyra stood atop a ridge, watching fires burn in the distance. The last Zarn outpost on the colony had fallen. The aliens weren't fleeing. They were hiding. I thought we were made for defense, Lyra said. Rafe shook his head slowly. No, we were made for payback. Every alien base they struck wasn't. Just destroyed, it was erased. Data banks wiped. Communications jammed. Bodies missing. The Zarn High Command thought it was sabotage. They were wrong. It was revenge. Inside, a Zarn War Council, the generals argued. Our patrols are vanishing. Our fleet is bleeding. We are losing ships, not in battle but. In terror, they displayed images, words carved into walls, helmets left behind, audio recordings of Zarn soldiers screaming. They're playing with us, one whispered. No, Scherthel said. They're punishing us. In a stealth cruiser stolen from the last outpost, Rafe and Lyra listened in on alien comms. Rafe leaned back in the pilot's seat. They're starting to fear us, Lyra nodded. Fear clouds judgment. Good, he said. Let's keep them blind. They plotted the next strike. A major Zarn fuel station, orbiting the gas giant Vora Ix. From there, the aliens refueled their long-range warships. If it fell, half the fleet would be stranded. A bold move. A suicide mission. Perfect. The plan was simple. Sneak in, plant charges, leave a message. Let the fear spread. They arrived cloaked, slipping past the patrol ships. Inside, the station was busy. Hundreds of aliens working, unaware. Lyra hacked the lights. Rafe rigged the fuel tanks. Time left, 2 minutes, as they escaped. Lyra looked back once. You think they'll get the message? Rafe grinned. I left it somewhere they'd never miss it. B-O-O-M. The station exploded into a fireball. The size of a moon. The blast could be seen from orbit. Debris scattered like stars. On the wreckage, single object floated. A black helmet. Inside was a blinking red screen that said, "This is for Kale 3 back." On the Zarn flagship, chaos erupted. The fleet halted its advance toward Earth, their fuel station gone. Their soldiers rattled. Their strategy broken. Scherthel slammed a fist on the table. This is no longer a war. This is a plague. He looked up. Send everything. Crush them now. But it was already too late. The Earthborn weren't just attacking. They were inspiring. Earth, inside a secret military lab, new cryopods began to open. Earthborn units, 03, 04. And 05- activated. One young soldier stepped out, blinking. What's happening? She asked. The lead scientist handed her a data chip. Your mission is simple, he said. Make them regret. Back on Cal 3, Rafe stared up at the stars. They're coming, he said. Lyra nodded. Let them, because revenge may not be a strategy. But right now, it was working. The Zarn sent an army. 5 dropships. Over 300 elite soldiers. HFY mechs. Swarm drones. Their target to humans. They laughed at the odds, but that was before the screaming. Started Kale 3's ruined plane shook as the Zarn deployed. Their black ships hovered above, guns hot and scanning, in a mobile command tent. Commander. Krvac watched a live map. We hunt ghosts today, he said. An officer looked up. Sir, what if they're not ghosts? Krvac hissed. We bury them like vermin. 10 minutes into the operation, the first squad vanished. No signs, no gunfire, just silence. Then the second squad found their helmets. Empty, cracked, one. Had a message etched into the metal. Send more. Rafe and Lyra were already inside the enemy formation, using terrain, shadow, speed, rage. Lyra moved like smoke and scene, silent, deadly. Rafe hit, like thunder loud, brutal, unforgiving, together. They danced through the Zarn like fire through dry leaves. By hour 3, 60 alien soldiers were confirmed dead. The mechs fired at shadows. Drones circled aimlessly. Commander Krvac shouted, "Where are they?" Then the comms cut out. The Earthborn had found the relay dish and rigged it with explosives. Boom, the sky lit up. Again, Krvac's last order was simple: retreat. But it was too late. One Zarn soldier, badly wounded, staggered into a field hospital days later. His legs were gone. His hands trembled. But in his fist, he clutched a strip of human cloth with 3 words burned into it. Earth sends regards. On the Zarn flagship, High Commander Scherthel watched the latest report. An entire strike force gone. No survivors, no glory. He stood. Slowly. Send the Reapers. His officer hesitated. But they haven't been used in 1,000 cycles. Send them. Back on Earth, the message finally reached human command. A general stood before the Global Council. The Earthborn are active, she said. They are turning the tide alone. Another council member asked, should we recall them? The general answered, no, we should send more. And they did. On Kale 3, Rafe and Lyra stood at the edge of a crater, watching alien smoke rise. Into the night sky? Think they're done? Lyra asked. Rafe didn't answer. He pulled a small, blinking tracker from his pocket. Earth was responding. More Earthborn were coming. He looked to the stars and whispered, they thought they could win. Let's prove them wrong. The Zarn Reapers had arrived. Massive, biomechanical killers. 7 meters tall. Designed to fight entire battalions alone. Each one cost more than a small warship. Each one had never been defeated. Now 3 of them stood on Kale 3, staring across a battlefield where nothing moved. Their mission? Hunt and destroy the Earthborn. Commander Schur, Thal gave a warning before launch. Reapers. These are not humans. They are nightmares made of bone and fire. Use everything. The Reaper simply clicked in reply. No fear. No emotion. But they would feel both soon enough. Elsewhere in the hills above the alien landing zone, Rafe and Lyra crouched behind a shattered ridge. They had seen the Reapers before. Not in battle, but in training simulations. It's always unbeatable. Always final. Now it was real. You afraid? Lyra asked. Rafe checked his knife. No. Lyra cracked her neck. Good. Let's make them feel something new. The battle began before the Reapers even realized it. Explosives planted on approach routes. minds disguised as alien tech. Optical illusions projected by stolen drones. The first Reaper walked into a trap. Its armor held barely but its targeting. System lit. That was enough. Rafe charged it at full speed. He didn't hesitate. Didn't blink. He climbed its leg, jammed a stolen plasma blade into its throat joint, and rode it down as it fell screaming. The ground shook when it hit. One down, the second Reaper turned and fired. Lyra sprinted sideways, a blur of motion. She hurled a shape charge at its chest. Missed. No. She'd aimed for the ground. The explosion knocked the Reaper off balance, and she was on it in seconds. She stabbed into its neck port and dumped a virus chip inside. Its limbs locked. Its head twisted. It fell hard too. Down. The third Reaper tried to run. It had never done that before. But something had changed. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a hunt Rafe caught. Up to it, jumped, landed on its back. It begged in its mechanical tongue. Air retreat, escape. He shoved a knife straight into its main core. 3 down, watching from orbit. Shurthel couldn't believe it. Impossible, he whispered. They weren't made to win. His officer turned. Sir, they were made to end us. On Earth. The council met in silence. A live feed showed Rafe and Lyra walking calmly through a burning Zarn base. No fear, no backup. No mercy. There. Not just soldiers, one leader whispered. They're monsters. And they're ours. Across the galaxy, other species watched the broadcasts. Many had once feared the Arnd. Now they feared us. In a distant Zarn temple. A priest carved a warning into stone. Fear the Earthborn, for they are born from fire, and they do not stop. Back on Kale 3, more Earthborn arrived. Unit 03 silent and pale, known only as Shade. Unit 04, armored like a tank, called Breaker. Unit 05, the youngest, the fastest Whisper. Rafe looked over them all and simply nodded. It's time. Time to finish what the Zarn started. Across the stars, the Zarn Empire trembled. Worlds once loyal began to whisper. Vassal species stopped. Answering calls, entire systems declared neutrality. The reason? One word. Spoken in fear. Earth. But Earth didn't send diplomats. It didn't send peace offers. It sent the Earthborn on Kale 3. 6 of them stood together for the first time. Rafe, Lyra, Shade, Breaker, Whisper, and the newest Unit 06, known only as Ash. Each one built differently, each one a weapon, and now. They had a target. The Zarn Homeworld Command approved the mission. No hesitation, no negotiation. Just one message sent back across the stars: we're coming. The Earthborn didn't fly in a fleet. They flew in a stolen Zarn dreadnought, silent and cloaked, hiding inside the same tech the Zarn had used to destroy Kale-3. Now, the blade turned back toward its maker. The Zarn High Council gathered for war. Millions of soldiers. Thousands of ships. Their skies filled with fighters. Their cities turned into bunkers. They were ready for a battle they weren't ready for. Judgment, the Earthborn, didn't land in the capital. They landed in the Heartforge, the source of all Zarn, tech, power, and weapons. Take that, and the entire war machine would collapse. They hit hard. Lyra cut through steel gates like they were paper. Breaker walked through gunfire like a god. Whisper blurred between squads, leaving only bodies. Shade shut down power to 3 cities with 1 virus. Ash melted armor with her bare hands. And Rafe. Rafe led them all. The Zarn fought with everything. Tanks, air support, even ancient beasts bred for war. None of it mattered. Inside the Heartforge, the Zarn King waited. Old, scarred, proud. He faced Rafe alone. You were made in a lab, the king said. You are not real. Rafe stepped forward. No, I was made in your fire, forged by what you did. The king raised a plasma spear. Rafe didn't move. 1 second later, the king fell. Rafe never touched his own weapon. The Heartforge exploded. Energy grids died. Weapons shut down. Across the planet, ships fell from the sky. Troops dropped their guns. It was over. The Zarn surrendered. No conditions, no tricks, no pride left. The Earthborn didn't sign any treaties. They didn't stay for the parade. They left the wreckage behind and walked into the stars. Later, an alien historian would write, "The Earthborn were not heroes. Heroes save you. These beings, they warned you once. And then they ended everything." Back on Earth, Rafe stood by the ocean, watching waves crash. Lyra sat nearby, cleaning her blade. "They'll come back," she said. "Some other empire. Some other monster." Rafe nodded. "Let them." She glanced over. "Will we be ready?" Rafe didn't smile. He just said, "We never stopped." End of series. Aliens thought they could win, then the Earthborn arrived. Cold wind blew over the ruins of Kale. 3. Ash fell like snow. Alien ships floated above, scanning, drones buzzed. Troops marched, but none of them noticed the one thing they should have feared. The man hiding in the smoke. His name was Rafe. He was alone. No ship, no team, no command, but he was still dangerous. Very dangerous. Inside an alien patrol base, Zarn warriors stood around a glowing table. A map of the ruined colony blinked red in several places. Another unit gone hissed. One soldier. "No bodies," said another. "Only blood." And this, he dropped a helmet onto the table. It was cracked open. Inside was something scratched into the metal, still alive. Back in the field, Rafe crouched in the rubble, watching. He had no gun, just a blade and stolen data from the aliens' comm system. He listened as the aliens talked in their insect-like language. He was already learning it. Send more patrols. Find the human. Kill on sight. Rafe smiled. "Good," he muttered. "Come find me." Squad of 6 elite Zarn landed near the old hospital. They moved fast, quiet, ready. This time, they came with a drone swarm and heat-tracking tech. They were sure they'd find him. They did, but not how they expected. The first drone exploded midair, then the second. Then the third. Panic spread. Ambush. One hissed. Too late. Rafe leapt from above, slamming onto the lead alien like a meteor. He drove his blade through the armor, then vanished again into smoke. The squad fired wildly. Shadows danced. One screamed, then silence. Another was pulled into the dark. His gun fired once, then stopped. The last 2 stood back to back. They were shaking. A voice whispered behind them, "Boo." Then the last thing they heard was screaming and silence. Later, General Scherthel watched the helmet cam recordings. "They are elite soldiers," he growled. "They do not panic." But the footage showed otherwise. The Zarn died like prey. Screaming, scared. "Is this human? Normal?" Scherthel asked. "No," said his science officer. "He was made for war." Back on Kale 3, Rafe dragged one alien body into a tunnel. He studied the tech, hacking the comm system. Broadcast active, the screen read. He tapped a button. Signal shot through space. A simple message sent to Earth. Still fighting. Still alone. Don't wait for orders. Rafe had no plan. To run, no desire to hide. They killed his people. They burned his home. They would burn too. That night, the Zarn set a trap. They placed a fake distress signal in the remains of the colony's spaceport. They left false footprints, even fake. Blood. But Rafe wasn't fooled. He used it. He let them think he walked into the trap. He let them surround him. 10 alien soldiers, armed with plasma rifles. "Circled the hangar. Target in sight," said one. Rafe stood in the center, unarmed, bloody. He raised his hand slowly, then smiled. "Let's make this interesting," he said. 5 minutes later, the hangar was full of fire and smoke. The aliens were dead. Rafe walked out, carrying 2 plasma rifles, one in each hand. The trap had been reversed. On the Zarn command ship, panic began to spread. Quiet panic, the kind that leaders don't show. This wasn't just a survivor. This was a hunter. A human who didn't wait for backup, didn't wait for orders, didn't need help. and he was winning. They had taken KL-3, but they hadn't taken. What was sleeping beneath darkness filled the alien warships holding cells. Inside one of them, Rafe sat in chains, blood dripping from his lip. His arms were burned, his face swollen, but he wasn't afraid. He was thinking 1 hour earlier, Rafe had let himself be captured. The Zarn didn't believe it at first. A full unit of 30 soldiers surrounded him. Drones circled above. Their electric nets dropped down, sparking and singing. Rafe didn't run. He stood there. Then he whispered, "Time to see the heart of the beast." Now inside the alien prison, the Zarn were trying to break him. But Rafe didn't scream. He didn't beg. He just stared at the alien general behind the glass. A tall creature with sharp black armor and glowing blue eyes. "You have no reinforcements," the general said. "I don't need any," Rafe replied, spitting blood. He grinned. "You've already lost." The general frowned. "You've conquered 25 worlds. We erased 2 species, and you're alone." Rafe looked up slowly. "No," he said. "You're alone." In a hidden chamber on the ship, alarms began to blink. Systems went offline. Power grids flickered. Zarn soldiers scrambled through the halls, shouting in panic. He hacked the controls. No, he gave himself up with a plan. Shut everything down. Lock it all down. They didn't know Rafe had injected stolen alien code into their network hours ago. When they captured him, his body wasn't the only weapon. His mind was too back in the cell. The lights went out. The chains unlocked.
Ow!
The door opened. Rafe stood. One by one guards came. One by one they fell. Some he stabbed. Some he choked. Some ran only to be caught later. He didn't fight to survive. He fought to hurt 10 minutes later. Rafe walked through the alien ship's halls, wearing stolen armor, carrying a heavy pulse rifle, blood on his boots. Calm in his eyes, he reached. The main data core implanted a virus. One word flashed across every alien screen: Earth remembers. From space, the warship shuddered. Alarms screamed. And then it crashed into a nearby asteroid field, tearing itself apart. No escape pods launched, no survivors reported, but Rafe was already gone. He flew a stolen Zern scout ship back to KL-3. Landing quietly near the colony ruins, he wasn't smiling this time. He was angry. He had learned something on the alien ship. They weren't finished. They were planning an invasion. Earth was next. He opened a secure channel. KL-3 was just the start, he said. "They're heading for Earth." Static replied. No signal. He was still alone. But he wouldn't be for long. Deep beneath the KL-3 surface, hidden under collapsed buildings in Earth, a different vault began to blink. Vault 12. A light turned green dot inside. Something moved. Another Earthborn was waking up.